Alright guys, got some big news. So some of the 2FA SMS or text messaging so-called 2FA services that were used by several providers, including Twitter, actually had the co-founder selling these phone numbers in order to target individuals to obtain call logs and locate people. This reminds me a bit of, I'm going to have some solutions for you as well, but it reminds me a bit of the story where essentially there was a Twitter API that allowed people to find people they knew. So individuals wrote programs in order to basically reverse engineer getting accounts and the phone number connected to it by adding such said phone numbers of people that were part of a targeted list, and later on we saw spear phishing attacks. So this SMS 2FA, it's never really been about security, and it's why I've never used my real phone number for any account. Now, everyone knows that a lot of providers will require you to provide a phone number. And what can you do about it? Well, in this case, it was sold to different companies, which then sold those phone numbers to identify individuals. This chills free speech, and it essentially makes everyone who has their phone number connected to them a little more cautious about self-expression, especially when cases like this come out. And I want to offer you a couple solutions today that you can use. First off, never use SMS 2FA. It's always been about identification. It's never been about security. Countless people who had Bitcoin can tell you they lost their Bitcoin because they used SMS 2FA. It's an excellent way to identify people, though, who are using Tor browser or who are using proxies. So if you lock them out of their account and request the phone number, well, you can pretty much identify them if they give the real phone number. Certain providers are still going to require you to give a phone number. So what do you do about that? Well, I'd suggest you use one of these websites that allows you to receive free text messages. You can simply open the phone number that you want to use for your area. At that point, you can give the phone number and you'll be able to receive the text message. Keep in mind, it's not the best idea for security because other people will be able to read that phone number and that message, but you should use the limited time code as soon as you see it, and it can allow you to get back into certain accounts. So it is an option. Of course, you also have these disposable phones. You can use something like that. You can use another SIM card. You can do a different type of 2FA if it's allowed. And I would always be alarmed of any providers or social media that only allows 2FA. That doesn't make any sense for true security or for verification of the account. For example, I was requested to give my phone number, but there was no phone number attached to it. And originally the message was, well, we want to find out that this is the owner of the account. There's been suspicious activity. But how could they find out it was the true owner of the account if there was never a phone number attached to it to begin with? So that's one thing to think about. Some of these things, I've known that it was never really about security. And, some of these companies want to make money as well. But they apparently provided services to WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Telegram, TikTok, Tencent, which is a Chinese company, Google, and Twitter. So it's a Swiss company. The co-founder apparently was on the side in charge of selling access to Mitto G's networks to secretly locate people via their mobile phones. So if somebody was possibly speaking about their political beliefs or religious beliefs and it happened to rub whatever area they're from the wrong way, or even other areas, they were able to be located just because they had that 2FA number, that so-called 2FA number, which, in my honest opinion, never really proved who owned accounts to begin with, and it never was really a secure means of 2FA. You can use an authenticator app. Now, something like that would be a better idea. And you have to ask yourself, why is email, a second email, not good enough? If you sign up for an account, you provide your first email, and then you could provide a second email for the so-called 2FA. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It never did make a lot of sense because everyone has known for quite a while that people have lost access to their bank accounts. People have had their, you know, things stolen of theirs online. And it all comes down to using insecure 2FA, which SMS is not a security, it's not a security 2FA. So I do suggest check out some of those other options, get a disposable phone, or check out one of these free SMS services where you can choose a phone number. You can then add that to your account on different platforms, and that way you can abide by the rules, and you can also not have to give out your real phone number, and that way you can preserve your anonymity, and you can help preserve your right to free speech online. So that was a big story here. Apparently their Twitter, for example, is moving away from this company, thankfully. I always knew it was a bit of trouble to even have this company that seemed to be very aggressive about getting phone numbers. I did notice that, and of course, I don't have my phone numbers attached to my accounts, but if you do, you might want to try one of these services for any other accounts you might make. So thought that was helpful and wanted to provide this story and let you guys know. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe the video, and I will be back later with more on how to protect your privacy.